What's poppin', y'all? It's your little Congolese ting, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing something different, obviously, because, I mean, look at Twitter, look at the news, look, like, fucking anywhere. Shit's going down. Shit's been going down, truthfully, but it just now happens that a lot of people are choosing to acknowledge / fall into this nice box of performative activism, or being an activist for the aesthetic, since it's now so cool and everyone's doing it and they know they're gonna get checked. So for this reason, I figured why not bring a group of women who I hold very tight and dearly to my heart, who are also as dedicated as I am, if not honestly and truthfully more dedicated to having these conversations towards bringing change and being actually effective activists, making a difference in their communities, as well as dismantling the systems that are affecting and oppressing all of us, especially and the most Black people. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you guys to this wonderful, fine group of ladies I have with me today on Zoom. So first we have Katana King here with us. She's a newly graduate student from the class of 2020. She is pursuing higher education in animation and storytelling to tell stories of those underrepresented in media at SCAD. She's an activist for LGBTQ rights and race relations, trying to help voices of minorities be represented in her passions such as art. Thank you for joining us today, Katana. It means a lot to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Next with us, we have Jane Shea Menard. She is a student at Temple University studying early childhood and special education. She is also an artist who focuses on femme-based inclusive art. Finally, her main focus is liberating the Black and queer community, as well as educating other white folks and herself on how to be a better ally. Thank you for joining us today. That means so much to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to listen and learn.
And then last but not least at all, this girl, she the one who taught me. She the one who trained me. So, got to throw her in this conversation. Julia Miarzum is a North Carolina-based organizer and attends North Carolina A&T State University, where she's pursuing a degree in sociology and political science. Julia's life passion is the liberation of all Black people through education and advocacy. Thank you so much for being here. We love having you on my channel.
I'm glad to be here. I'm excited.
So first, I wanted to start off just asking you guys, how have you been as of late with everything right now?
That's a heavy question. That's a heavy question in itself. Speaking for me personally, I am at a space where I feel kind of reawakened in the struggle for liberation for Black people. It is tiring, it is exhausting, but I think that now more than ever, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I've been very tired trying to. There are nights I just don't sleep because I'm constantly just staying out with current events, talking to my friends around the world about the protests they're going to. Listening in on police radios to try and help my friends from where they are. And although I'm tired, I feel the same as Julia in terms of it has awakened the side of myself that I really love and enjoy, which is the side of me that loves activism. And I'm tired, but I enjoy what I do, so.
No, definitely. I feel y'all on the being tired thing, and being, I don't know, I feel like from high school I was real out there, and then once I graduated I was kind of like, I need a break from the things that we were doing. And even though I still felt anger around these things, it felt like an almost distanced anger, because at that point I was like, it's gonna happen again tomorrow, so am I gonna cry about it again every single day, or am I just gonna let the anger kind of muster and, I don't know, just try and preserve anything left of myself at that point? But I definitely feel what y'all are saying about being recharged and stuff. How about you, Jane Shea?
I think, honestly, we've had this discussion a lot of times this past couple of days because I've been with Destiny, but it's really frustrating that it took so long for it. Like 50 states have protested, which is amazing that all 50 states have protested, but it took 4 to 5 deaths in America of Black people in a week for people to open up. You know what I mean? And understand that. And it's been years and years of this happening. So although I think it's really cool that everyone is protesting, I think it's amazing. Like, my ignorant, family members have come to me and been like, wow, this is crazy, and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's great that they're aware of it. I just hope it doesn't stop there and it's not just like people are aware of it and then it's done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, literally, I really don't want these 24 posts to be all 24-hour story posts that people are doing to be all that it is. Because at that point, you're not even being an actor. Like, truthfully, if you're just posting and you're resharing the same thing, like, I've been saying this a lot. If you're saying that you're posting for awareness, but then your friends know they can come around you and say the N-word or say any type of thing that they like about anybody and you're not checking them, you're not doing anything. Like, keep your posts because people know what you're really about. You're not actually for the movement or for Black people the way you like to post on your stories.
Right.
Absolutely.
I definitely have been seeing the same thing where Blackout Tuesday, for example, where a lot of people have been, not only people that I've personally interacted with that have personally said crazy hurtful things, children run away, are posting Blackout Tuesday saying, I see you. And it's like, I have never felt seen by this person in real life outside of my skin color ever. So it's really interesting to see people that have never and would never support me in real life. Seemingly joining a hack is all about support.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And the I see you comments are so irritating because it's like, what were you seeing beforehand? Like, for real.
Right, did you not see?
You were looking at me all throughout. I mean, I'm thinking really honestly, I've been reflecting a lot on my high school experience, which me, Katana, and Julia all went to the same high school. I've been thinking, like, y'all are posting all this stuff now, but y'all know that you were thinking that we were just the same irritating Black kids telling y'all not to sing the N-word in songs. And now you're saying, I see you. Like, no. What you were seeing beforehand was just another Black kid trying to tell you what to do and control your freedom of speech.
Right. It's hard for people to see that it's not a trend. It's a lifestyle. But it's more like, I don't know, people think of it as an aesthetic.
Agree.
I would say even today, I was, scrolling Twitter checking in on my mutuals and whatnot and their protests. And I see a bunch of TikToks that are being reposted of people that are literally making an aesthetic out of the rioting, which was insane to me. Right. That, like, I would ever live in a time where not only this is happening, which is not necessarily rioting, but the protests are, like, amazing and definitely something that's going to be historic, but that I'd see it gentrified so quickly that people are recording it and putting sparkles over it, and wearing their e-boy fits and skateboarding and whatnot.
I think I saw the same TikTok. It was crazy. He was getting arrested and, like, smiling, like, photo op. Look at this. It was crazy.
And I think that speaks to privilege and the glamorization of the movement. I kind of stepped away from the term activist and activism because that word in itself is a performance, right? It's saying that we're getting to step out and do something that's unpopular, or we're doing something that's not, kind of favorable. You get what I'm saying? And I step away from that to say that, like, the things that we're doing, the protest and the sharing of information and resources on social media and all of that, that is literally, it's not a hobby, right? That is something that we're doing for our freedoms and our right to live. And the glamorization of that, I've seen it on Instagram. I've seen it on, like you said, TikTok. I used to go on Twitter and TikTok to laugh, but it's no longer a space for that anymore. And to Destiny's point about people on Instagram, especially from our high school, that are at protest. I've seen a lot of people from my class and class below me at protest, and it's just interesting to me that you can be there physically. I think it's a double-edged sword, right? Like it's like some people are there physically, but they're not there virtually, and some people are there virtually and they're not there physically. And I feel like people are having a hard time finding that common ground, that common balance. And so a lot of people have reverted to just glamorizing it, right? Like I was at the protest. Here's a picture of me in black and white, with my sign. So that obviously means that I'm down, right? And that's just not enough. And I think that it's interesting, like you said, the people who say, I see you, but you've never seen me before. Mm-hmm. So what are you seeing now that's changed? You get what I'm saying? Like that's been my biggest qualm, and I've tried to take my ego out of it and my activist out of it to say like, how am I making this, a personal thing? Because it is personal. Like all three of us have been in spaces where we've been forced to organize. We've been forced to get the community together. We've been forced to do all of this. And it's been while we're doing that, people have called us names. Like you said, irritating black girls. People have called us slurs. Parents have reported us for disturbances and harassment. And that's pain. And then to see the same people protesting beside you is hard. It's hard to, accept that. And I've been having a hard time separating my ego from the movement because it's like people can change, but how much have you changed? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like how much have you changed in 4 years that you go from calling me a nigger to walking with my nigger ass on the street? I don't know. I don't really know, you know what I'm saying? So that's just been something, and I really would implore us to look at the word activism a little differently. I think there's nothing wrong with considering ourselves freedom fighters, and that's freedom fighters, or I don't know. I just feel like for me, it's been kind of hard dealing with where I feel, especially after being numb. And I think, Dustin, you brought up a very good point about after I graduated. And for me, I went to a HBCU, so everybody's black. I said, somebody else got it. Yeah. I don't have to keep doing it because somebody else got it. So it's been kind of hard being reawakened and having to separate my past trauma that I didn't get to heal from Country Day. Oh, we're gonna say our school from that place.
That's a public record.
And moving into a place of like, as an adult organizer, how can I move my ego from you wasn't shooting with me in the gym to now that you've showed up, let me put you to work. So I think that's a very good point. But yeah, it's been something that's on my heart. Trust me, I have wanted to swipe up and say, baby, you are not really with the cause because you called me a nigger freshman year and I have the receipts. But I don't want to take away from somebody who's potentially willing to devote their lives to the cause. So it's a double-edged sword. And either way, I feel like black people are the only people that are going to get affected. Because whether you decide to stay and fight with us or not, it's still our lives. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the glamorization of protesting is like, once you he got arrested in that video, but I'm pretty sure he got out. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of us are getting arrested and we're not getting released. Yeah. So.
No, definitely. Thank you for that activist point, too. I never really thought about it like that. And it really is, like, the way it's used as a term, it is like a hobby, but it's not a hobby.
Right.
This is real life. This is real war. Like, shit, this isn't something I do for fun. I wish, like, no. So thank you for bringing that up. I've never really thought about it like that. I feel like I always also, like, with the people who are changing up now, I'm so weary about the way that they're changing up because I feel like so much of it is for celebration. Like, it's literally Instagram is just, I feel like Instagram is just an echo chamber of pseudo-activism where white people or non-black people are posting in order to be celebrated for doing the right thing. Like, okay, maybe you did change. Maybe you went from singing the N-word at every single party with your chest to now you're like, okay, let me not, right? But now I'm going to go ahead and post on my story, and then you're like, I don't want people to be like, where's my praise at? Like, no, you're doing the right thing. You're doing what you should have been doing from the jump. Like, I really feel like so much of it is, like, people wanting to celebrate them being a decent person, or at least seeming like a decent person online, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what does it do? Like, Blackout Tuesday, that shit irked me a lot, honestly, because it's not doing nothing to actually dismantle these systems, if it makes sense. Like, I feel like if you're not going to be effective and productive, don't do it at all. And to me, that's just what that was.
Yeah, I definitely, what you guys were saying about going on the back burner from activism, you know, once you graduated, I definitely felt that way just my senior year. I separated myself from BSU. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be president of SWAG now because I'm also a woman and it's hard to be Black at my school. So you know what? I'll just focus on one identity at the time. But being in this situation, I've learned that like other women are gonna look down on me because I'm Black. I'm a lesbian. Other gay people are gonna look down on me because I'm Black. Like me being Black is the one thing that people can like see, that they can see. I can hide if I can wear different clothes or whatever, but it's like people. This is the one thing that people see, and as much as I claim to be like an activist or whatnot, it's really just me fighting for my life at this point. And it's kind of a hard thing to deal with, especially when you're like, I want a break. But at the end of the day, you're never going to get a break from anyone unless you stay in the house all the time. You're never going to get a break from people seeing you and seeing your skin immediately. So that was a really good point, Blue. I never really thought about activism like that until you just said it.
I don't know. I feel like the trauma that you endure going and being subjugated to white spaces for a long time of your life is something that we don't get to decompress. We don't get to like talk about it. And I can see why for us, activism was a hobby in high school. We have to be very honest about that because like Katana, you just graduated, like you said. I mean, I don't know the climate of our institution any longer. I've heard it's changed. I graduated like 3-4 years ago. So I think we had to take it on as a hobby. Something that I was dissecting with another peer earlier this week is like, think about it. After practice, where were we? We were in administrative offices planning conferences. During lunch hours, where were we? We're in a classroom planning marches and demonstrations. In the morning before you go to class, where are we? We're in the student center putting together supplies for each other because we know that we're about to go to a protest after school. On the weekends, where were we? At our school putting together. So it felt like a hobby. And I definitely feel you on the needing a break and I'm glad that you were able to take space when you could, because for me, it just felt I had to keep going full throttle. And then when I graduated, I was on E. And I've been on E for a while, and having to be awakened, not by choice, but by force is something that I think is trauma in itself. That when our kids and our grandkids ask us about 2020, I'm going to tell them to pour me a drink first. Because the trauma that we've endured, and especially being from the South, is just, it's a lot. It really is a lot.
I think, like, with me, like, going back and reflecting on some of those experiences, too, I had to start, like, kind of retraining myself to be like, you know what? It's not your responsibility 25/8 to be educating, teaching, doing whatever to explain yourself, your humanity, and your reality. Because I've already did that as much as I have, and it's tiring. It's traumatizing. It literally just drains your psyche, that I really feel like I had to learn, like, it's not my responsibility. But then that also goes on to allies. Stop looking at Black people to be your teachers. That's not okay. That's not helpful. That hurts us and harms us so much more. Open a book. You have resources. There is history, knowledge. No one can take knowledge from you, baby girl. Like, read a book. We don't have to teach you. Don't look at us for stuff constantly. Don't look at us when we choose not to say something on a situation, because this is our reality. We know what we're living. We know how we go about walking around every day. So if we choose to be quiet today, if we choose not to say something today, okay, we're allowed to. It's you who needs to be doing work. You need to be picking up and doing shit for yourself. Because you know you have the power. You know you have the privilege. You know, most of y'all, at least I don't know. Most of us have iPhones. Most of us have like some type of access to shit. Like, just do it. Unlock your phone and do something. And stop asking me to drain and pour out my trauma to you.
Right. Absolutely.
Definitely. I've gotten multiple texts over like the past 2 weeks of people. Basically what they're saying is, oh, I know that we had a conversation where you tried to explain something to me and I definitely spoke over you and I definitely didn't listen to your words. But then I thought about it for 2 days because I felt guilty, and now I understand, like, oh, you were trying to tell me something. You were trying to explain your trauma to me and I wasn't listening. And just like realizing, even when you try and help people, even when you try and teach people why you deserve the same respect that you give them, and knowing that you're spoken over anyway, that you're thought of as less anyway, so they're not going to listen to you anyway, is an exhausting thing to handle. And that is something that I think all of us experience in high school, trying to plan forums and protests and different kinds of things to get people to just look at us, or mostly white people just look at us and say, hey, that's a person too. Hey, that's someone, my classmate that I should respect too. And I experience as someone that's been in a PWI since kindergarten at that same PWI is very different, I think, than people that my Black peers that showed up in high school, like beginning of 9th grade. And I think that's a quote that I saw going around Twitter is like, Black or white people think that they're your friend. That doesn't mean they respect other Black people. Like, they like you they like you, and you just happen to be a Black person. And I saw that reflected a lot where I had to step up for my other peers to say, if one of my peers that came in 9th grade said something, but I said something, a lot more people would listen to me, because they're like, I don't really respect Black people, but I've known you since kindergarten. You haven't hurt me since kindergarten. You've been respectful to me since kindergarten, so I can see the humanity in you. And just thinking about people that have been pushing that hard since 9th grade, when I had to culminate it since kindergarten, and people that are pushing that hard for that respect, is just, I know you guys have probably been on me. I know it's very traumatizing. And yeah, to have you waking up out of force is it's awful.
Yeah.
That's, think about it. It's awful to me.
Traumatizing.
Exactly. Like, the frustration, like, all of it makes sense too. Like, that's the thing that really irritates me. Like, even when I was out and protesting in Philly, today was the second day I went out, but like kind of like both. It was the first time I went out actually that I saw it really. Like, allies were out there, but then as things started to progress, allies started to become very judgmental of the movement. I noticed, like, of course, as things started to pick up, and then like in Philly, like looting started happening, riots started to really like pop out, fires were happening. There was a lot of like criticism coming from allies at that point. And at that, that irritates me truthfully. Like, anyone who says like that's not the right way to do it and you not Black, I don't care. I do not care. We are frustrated. We are tired. Like, if you're going to be an ally, don't criticize our reaction. Don't criticize how we respond, because that's our response. We're allowed to, truthfully. In a country that we built with our bare backs, our hands, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, that really frustrates me personally, just whenever I see anybody, or especially people who claim that they're an ally, be like, this isn't the right way. I don't stand with this, da 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 da. It's like, this is anger. This is centuries of hurt right now. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, you don't like it, don't say nothing. Don't be a part of it. Don't go out there and, go into the stores. You don't have to do none of that. Stand there, do your part, stand in front of the cops, be between people, do your job.
And don't fake post.
Use your privilege, leverage your privilege. You don't need to be commenting and telling me how to respond about my hurt and my anger. You don't need to do that.
Yeah. There was a protest today in Myers Park, which I believe that was successful. Something that I did not like was how involved the police were. I think it felt like it was orchestrated by police. I know that's not the truth, but I know that, there were things that white women specifically were afraid to say that made me feel like if you are coming out to protest and you can't open your mouth and repeat truths, then you do not need to be here. Right. Things like white silence is violence, like people did not want to say that. Things like saying, what was it? There's the chant, like, we ready, which is not to incite violence, but it's to encourage people to keep going, because protesting is it's hard on the body. You're walking for miles shouting. It's hard on somebody's body in the heat. But these are things that people refuse to say, and for me, it's just like, why are you here? You get, yeah. And it's just like, if you can't say things that are truth, why are you here? I had issues with white women specifically starting chants that put people, black people, I don't say people of color, black people, in harmful positions, such as like fuck 12 and fuck Donald Trump. And these things we know to be true, right? Abolish police, all of that good stuff. But when things like that are being chanted in a protest or a movement that's supposedly organized by people of color, what you're actually doing is you're putting it at more harm. Because as soon as this white woman walking beside me starts saying fuck the police looked at me. They didn't look at her. They didn't look at her. They looked at me. And that's why I told her, I said, baby, you got to calm down. Because you're out here as an ally. You're not out here to yell over. And that's the thing. I feel like some people don't know, once again, where to find their balance. Because they're critical of what we're saying, how we're saying it. They're critical of the places in which we decide that we want to demonstrate peacefully. They're critical in how we go about. And I think that at the base level, it's just flawed allyship. And we're talking about, I think about white women specifically because their version of activism and their version of speaking out may look different. It might vary, but at the base level, it stems from like a Susan B. Anthony kind of conceptual theory. And that woman was racist. That woman said she would rather die before letting Negroes get the chance to vote over white women. And that is her granddaughters are who we're marching beside, and we have to correct them because it can be harmful and it can also further dismantle the movement and what we've worked so hard to build. I think that the best ways that allies can help during these protests and the demonstrations is, of course, come out there. That's step one. Two, if you do not feel comfortable stating the truths that we're chanting, then go to your local, preferably Black-owned market, buy you some water, some Gatorade, some apples, some oranges, some bananas, some granola. Get you a table and sit out there and give these people nourishment as they pass. But don't join us if you're not really with us, Yeah. So that's been a big issue for me. I've been protesting. This is day 5 of Charlotte protests. I've only been able to make it out to 4 of them due to work and things like that. And every day I see new things that I'm like, this is like, somebody needs to do Ally 101. Why do white women need to do Ally 101 for each other? Because I think that's a good point, like you said, standing in between like the police and protesters. I've literally seen police not attack someone because a white woman was in front of them. And that speaks volumes. Obviously, we wish that we didn't have to do that, but that's the truth of it. So come out there not to take pictures, not to, overshadow leading chants. I don't have an issue with it, but don't shadow Black people that are out there that have organized this, that are organizers. Definitely come out there with nourishment. I've seen a white woman handing out bags of anti-tear gas. That's awesome. So yeah, there's different ways that they can put themselves in there. And like you said, instead of being critical, I think they need to take a step back and ask, how can I be effective? Because if you're not effective, you're pointless.
Yeah.
That's a hard hitter. If you're not effective, you're pointless. Yes.
Definitely. People have come in my DMs arguing about, how people protest. First of all, protests, comparing protest to protest, what an oppressor wants is no protest. So whatever happens, people are going to complain about it anyway because they don't want any change. But when people are complaining about looting, rioting, they're like, so many small businesses are, affected. I'm like, get out my DMs and go open your purse and donate then. Like,
open your purse.
Like, my thing is, we don't all have to agree on everything. No one's ever going to all agree on anything. There's so many divisions within the Black community itself. And, instead of turning it into a blame on blame situation, you guys are violent, you guys are peaceful, you guys are whatnot. I think it's just turning into a how can I support who I want, how can I support this movement in a way that I feel comfortable, in a way that I know is actually doing something and making a change. So, if that is passing out water bottles, then pass out water bottles. If that is marching next to your Black friends, march next to your Black friends. I think there's a lot of stress on people to all have solidarity in the exact same way. And some people aren't built to walk and shout. Some people aren't built to be in the sun, handing stuff out. Some people are just built to open their purse. Like, it's just your advantages that you have, your privileges that you have, and how you can help.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I think also, I want to go back to when I think, Destiny, you were saying, like, Black women and Black men shouldn't have to educate white people on how to do it, because, like, on how to just not be racist or be an ally, because not only have we all, like, white people have always been able to have the resources, other, like, you know what I mean, other than other oppressed groups, like, we've always been the first people to have the resources to do that. But also, we don't get to be tired because we've never been able to, we've never been oppressed. Like, we have to keep on educating people. We can't depend on Black folks to educate us because, sometimes that's traumatizing, like you said. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, and they think they're doing the right thing. And that's where a lot of white people have to come in and be like, hey, read Freedom is a Constant Struggle, or check out this, or, read these things. And even on Twitter, you can scroll through and see stuff. You don't have to text someone and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Figure it out for yourself. And, there are resources where you can read and learn instead of having to ask someone to relive their own issues and trauma.
Absolutely.
And going back to
Katana's... go ahead. Go ahead, girl.
Oh, okay. It's a 2-second little comment, going back to it too, about how people feel about, like, riots and stuff, or, like, being quote unquote, like, violent. Like, Black people tried being peaceful too. Like, in the 60s, we all sat and had to watch the same documentaries where we see dogs unleashed on us, hosed down, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've been peaceful, and we still are the ones who are being attacked, you know what I'm saying? The cops are the ones still inciting violence, So, okay, I can walk, they'll still release dogs. I can walk silently, they can still bring out hoses. There's still violence that could be brought out regardless, not even by the oppressed people, but the ones who are oppressing us.
Right.
But that was my point.
I agree.
I definitely agree. And I think it definitely raises a lot of, or exposes a lot of people, especially the people on my timeline who are like, be gay, do crime, like, I love shoplifting at Walmart or whatever, but when property damage ensues or when people start looting, it's like, whoa, like, it was cute when I was doing it. It was cute when it was a little lip gloss, but when the monkey started doing it, it's a little something else. And I think that really raises a question as to what was the aesthetic before? And, do people really have to do everything for an aesthetic? I see people turning quotes and things that Black people have said, their last words, and putting, sparkles on it in backgrounds that are like, here, this can fit your aesthetic for you to post. And I think that really takes away from how raw it is for a lot of people to see, how we have to see these clips of Black people being murdered over and over again on CNN, on Fox News or whatnot. And people can just edit it on their phone and turn it into something that they can put on their Tumblr dashboard or whatnot. And whereas at this point, I don't think that's even raising awareness. Like we're all aware. People are aware, just as Jane Shea said, that everyone has really, unless you have a firsthand experience as a Black person, you usually have the resources to be aware. So I don't know. The aesthetics have definitely been troubling to see.
Right.
Definitely seeing things that people thought were cute, that people thought were fun, eat the rich, whatnot. And then when it's coming into fruition, but Black people are doing it, they're like, oh, wait, this is not what I want to see.
Right,
I want PG eat the rich or whatnot.
Exactly.
So to go back, like what, even though I know, Julie, you really gave a whole entire spiel, but I really want to really reiterate this. Like, what is it that we need to see, we need and want to see out here, instead of just these posts? Like, opening your wallets, for one. Two, if you're gonna, I feel like, just do something with Black Lives Matter or anything of that sort, don't profit off of it. That's the thing that really scares me, the way I'm seeing some people use, like, this to make their art or to, get their little portfolio up with their pictures. Don't profit off of a movement where Black people are being killed, where it's a genocide. That's disgusting.
Absolutely.
Open your wallets. Donate.
Yeah, open your purse. If you are a creative, and I would say, for me, I can understand, but this is not the time. If you are someone who's recording via news or your own personal, your own personal collection, Snapchat, Instagram, please make sure you are not including people's faces in them. Open your purse if you can, like Katana said. And honestly, some people not built for walking, some people not built for passing out. But if you built to open your purse, open your purse. I think that coming out is always great. Something that a lot of people don't think about. If you are coming out also and you're coming out with signs, please make sure that your signs are thought provoking. Please make sure that the purpose of signs at protest is to enact thought. It is to provoke conversation. It is just not for, galore. It's not just to have. And I think that's something that people have forgotten. I have seen some really wonky signs. Yesterday I saw All Lives Matter sign. I'm like, read the room. Read the room. So yeah. And then also, if you are passing things out, make sure that you're staying sanitized, that you're staying healthy, because amidst all of this, Miss Rona is still here. And the Black community has been affected the most by this pandemic. And I think will continue to be the most impacted community due to the things that we've had to do amidst this pandemic. Ultimately, stay safe. Do everything out of love. Do not do anything hoping or wishing or expecting praise, as Destiny said. We're not going to praise fish for swimming. We don't praise birds for flying. That's just what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a decent human being. So yeah, that's literally all I can say. Make sure that you're staying safe. Make sure that you're looking at resources. And one last thing, this is a good one, just popped over my head. In your cities, make sure that you know who's organizing your protests and demonstrations that you're attending, because something I've been seeing is that random people will put together something out of the spirit and gust of wanting to be freedom fighters, but the people that are organizing and demonstrating are people who have studied this. This is something that you have to study. How do we have a peaceful protest with thousands of people without getting people arrested? How do we have a peaceful protest with thousands of people without having anyone be harmed? These are things that organizers study. So make sure that you know where you're going, who's organizing it, and that you're staying safe.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, for creatives, it is, people are, showing their tail a little bit with their dropping merch and whatnot. But if you are creative and you are in especially if you're in high places, you know, get some Black people some scholarships. I was fortunate to receive a scholarship as a Black creator today from people that are like, you know what, we don't have as many Black creators as we, or we do have Black creators that aren't being put in the places that they should be, that
Absolutely.
have portfolios that are amazing and aren't being put in the same places as their white counterparts with not the same, with less than the skill that they have. So if you're creative, definitely, and you have the opportunity, definitely please look through Black youth portfolios and try and get them in places that you think they need to be. And definitely, if you're, I think the only thing that's appropriate is maybe doing commissions for donations towards different organizations. Anything else is kind of like, you know, just kind of boosting that portfolio at this point. But if you have the opportunity to do so, please, you know, support your Black-owned businesses, support your Black artists, stuff like that, because
Absolutely.
it's important to make sure communities and local businesses are booming, especially in the midst of this pandemic and especially in the midst of all this stuff.
Right. Also, I think, especially for white people to, like I said earlier, not just have this be their trend for the week or the month, and not just during Black Lives, or not Black Lives Matter, Black History Month, like all the time. Also, continue to support Black businesses, like Katana said, and especially Black trans folks, because I feel like a lot of white people, if they are respecting Black folks, it takes a lot. It's really just like Black men, and there's not the respect on Black women or Black trans folks or non-binary folks, and like that's really important. Just donating directly to Cash App or Venmo like really can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow, this conversation was a lot. No, but it was necessary and so important. And once again, like, thank you, Julia, Katana, Jane, Shea. It's late at night when we are filming this, y'all, and I appreciate y'all coming out here, being dedicated, and putting your faces out here and having this conversation with me, and even allow me to share this onto my platforms. I appreciate it a lot. That means a lot, for real, for real. With that being said, though, this video is going to come to a close, but that does not mean these conversations come to a close whatsoever. Keep it going. Please share this video. Friends, family, anyone who, honestly, anyone needs it, period. Like, everyone needs this video. Things were said that, regardless if you don't know me, you don't know these ladies, there is key useful information that could definitely be used right now in this time as shit is going down. So please share this video. And then on top of that, there will be resources linked in the description box down below with all types of speakers talking on things, anywhere from basic information if you're just now learning about how to be an ally and, you know, you're just coming onto this consciousness. I guess if you're just not coming into this consciousness, there's information for you. If you want to hear things like Angela Davis speaking, James Baldwin, Tupac, if you want to see history of New York draft riots, that when they were killing Black people and there was a result of 400 to 1,000 Black people killed because white Northerners didn't want to fight for the Union. All that type of information can be found down below. You guys can see, you guys can learn. All of this stuff is on the internet. This is just, you know, the beginning point. This is just a droplet into the big ocean. Please use this as, you know, encouragement and empowerment to go and do further research for yourself. And also anyone who is struggling out there, you're seen. I mean, obviously we just talked about saying, you know, you're seen, but I really do mean it. Like, my friends and I, like, it's been tough right now. A lot of conversations where we've all had the same thoughts, we're just now saying it. It's tough. So if you're struggling, it's okay to struggle. If you're having a hard time, it's okay to be having a hard time right now. Please reach out to friends, reach out to family. My DMs are always open for anything. And honestly, rest. You know, my Black brothers, sisters, rest right now. That is the strongest form of revolution and protest you can do. Protect yourself, protect your heart, protect your mind right now. That is necessary. Recharge. Separate from social media if you need to. Lock your phone, turn it off, anything, for real. You're important and you're valued right now. And if you feel tired, take a break. Nothing that's not speaking on you, because this is your reality every day. And that is completely understandable. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have an absolutely amazing week or weekend. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share, as well as anything these ladies, if they want shared in the description box, will be shared as well. Go ahead and find that, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.
I waved a little early.
Gang.
Look around, can't you see we hurt? Potholes feel faster than our knees. Can't you see we dirt to these niggas? It's crazy, we the coach. Proud of fucking luggage, yet we trudge around the jungle picking crumbs up out the vultures.